Time for another Mortarch and another Regiment of Renown. This time, the most loyal lapdog of Nagash, Arkhan the Black, and his Liche's Hand. This is actually a very easy regiment to put together and add to your list. It's incredibly small, consisting of just 5 models, which for a 750 point price tag might initially make you wince at the points cost per model. But these are all rather good models. So let's take a look at exactly what you get, the rules that come along with this regiment, and whether you'll get any benefit adding this to another death army. The Liche's Hand is Arkhan the Black, 2 Morghast Archai and 2 Morghast Harbingers. 5 models, nice and simple, but at 750 points it is a steep investment. You are looking at essentially 150 points per model, but in reality of course that isn't quite accurate. We are looking at Arkhan, who is 380 points, and then the Morghasts are each 110, so all in, if you add all 5 models together, you are getting 820 points worth of units, so you are still making a solid 70 point saving, with the usual caveat of losing some of the Ossiarch Bonereaper battle traits. You don't get Nadrite weapons, and you get no bonus command points when the game begins. But for those sacrifices you make by bringing this as a Regiment of Renown, you do actually get a few decent little rules. You do of course get that 6-up ward save thanks to Deathless Retainers, and then they get the funky rule of Unholy Sacraments. This is very similar to the Null Myriad subfaction rule for the Ossiarch Bonereapers, but it's a little bit more flexible because it doesn't have a range you need to be in. Essentially, whenever a unit in this regiment is affected by an enemy spell or endless spell, you roll a d6, and on a 2+, you ignore the effects of it. So you now have a fantastic amount of magic protection on this regiment, which really will help them to survive doing whatever they need to do in the battle, getting up the board, getting into combat with the enemy, or just protection against any sniping style spells that may come their way. And then when this regiment does hit the enemy lines, the Morghasts especially, they really do hit like a truck. The Morghasts are 110 points each, as I said, which is pricey, but they do have some very solid rules. The Harbingers are the lesser of the two, unfortunately. They basically have a Deep Strike rule as their special War Scroll ability, which, to be honest, you will never use because it is just setting them up for a very unlikely charge. You still have to be over 9 inches away, so you're very unlikely to actually make that charge in. So you are just almost always better to start them off on the board near to Arkhan anyway. However, conversely, the Morghast Archai, they get a very solid War Scroll ability. They get a 5-up ward save when they are near Arkhan, which means that they have 6 wounds, a 4-up save, and a 5-up ward, which is very strong. Both sets of Morghast then also have rules where they gain strike first if they make an 8-inch charge, which is really useful when you want these guys going into combat. And then even more impressively for the two units, they both just automatically turn off commands when they're within 3 inches of an enemy. So that means your opponent can't use all-out attack, no all-out defense, no inspiring presence. They can, just by charging into an enemy, massively debuff them and essentially give themselves a little bit of extra hitting power against an enemy thanks to them not being able to use all-out defense, and conversely giving themselves, the Harbingers, more durability by not letting your opponent get all-out attack into them. So they can definitely survive longer and also do more damage than you may think because they debuff the enemy by not letting them use commands. In terms of their weapons that the Morghast have, the halberds are almost always the better option. It gives them 3 attacks each, which hit on 3s, wound on 3s, at -2 rend and a flat 3 damage. So each unit of 2 Morghasts, if you equip them with the halberds, can easily be chucking nearly 7 damage into an enemy 4-up save unit. On top of that, of course, you get Arkhan in this regiment, and he comes in clutch as well with a brilliant War Scroll. He gives you an incredible 3-cast Wizard, which straight off the bat is a really useful thing to have. It's great for getting off any endless spells you may have, or just using his amazing Curse of Years War Scroll spell. and then he is even better in this regiment as well because he further boosts your durability thanks to the Mortarch of Sacrament, which lets you heal both units of Morghast 3 wounds in each of your hero phases, which on a 6 wound 4-up save unit will massively make them harder for your opponent to take out. On top of that, he works very well as another form of force multiplication in another death army. His ability First of the Mortarchs boosts the range of friendly death wizard spells by 6 inches when they're within 18 inches of him, so this will affect any Flesh Eater Court or Soulblight or Nighthaunt wizards you bring, because this isn't specific to Ossiarch Bonereapers, it is just any friendly death wizard. So that's a really solid thing that he brings in this regiment as well. He isn't super killy by himself, but I think he brings some amazing casting potential. He gets +2 to his unbinds and his casts when he's at full health, and he also brings you some solid recursion on those 2 units of Morghasts. So while this regiment is expensive, they bring you some brilliant spellcasting, they bring you some really hard-hitting and durable bricks in the Morghasts, and they can just take a huge amount of enemy magic and come out the other side pretty much unscathed, and then just charge in and demolish an enemy flank with those units of Morghasts, just swinging their halberds into the enemy. Overall, I just think this is a very solid regiment, and I really can see it being worth taking in other death factions. 750 points is going to be a lot of your army, that is for sure, but the spell casting potential you get is incredible. Turning off commands from the Morghast can be a really strong force multiplier. Things like your low rend Nighthaunt, or even things with -1 rend like Graveguard, will absolutely love your opponent not being able to put all-out defense on a key unit. It really will make a big difference, your opponent not being able to go down to a 3-up save from a 4-up, or go down to a 4-up save from a 5-up, for instance. And then of course they work really well to act as a durability enhancement as well, letting your squishier units survive the enemy hits back because you don't have to worry about all-out attack or unleash hell as your armies charge in. The Lich's Hand is just really nice. It's small, it's straightforward, it is a simple regiment, which whilst expensive is very easy to slot into another death army. And if you want a super strong 3-cast wizard who has a really fun, entertaining spell, and also 2 units of hard-hitting, tanky creatures in the Morghast, then I think this is well worth looking into. I would say probably the only thing I wish was different, and which I think would make this regiment much better, would be if you could have 2 units of Morghast Archai rather than a unit of Archai and a unit of the Harbingers, because Harbingers are just, they're kind of bad, but 2 units of the Morghast Archai, both rocking that 5-up ward save near Arkhan, diving into combat, turning off commands, potentially striking first, and then just doing a load of 3 damage attacks. That would make this regiment an incredible pick, I think. So that's the Lich's Hand. I can see it being taken in armies like Nighthaunt or Soulblight if you have a fair amount of low rend stuff that you're taking anyway, just to add that extra hitting power and some more spellcasting potential. But as always, what do you make of this Regiment of Renown? And can you see yourself adding it to any of your death armies? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.